at Sri Sri Radha Damodar Temple in the room of His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And by Prabhupada's grace, we came to know something about the glories, the glorious position of Srila Guru Maharaj. As we told there, I found a letter in the ISKCON BBT archives where Prabhupada was telling a devotee, said, if you seek a Shiksha Guru, you must go to someone who is actually qualified to be Shiksha Guru. And he said, and I can recommend to you the most highly qualified of my god brothers, and that is Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj. In fact, I accept him as my Shiksha Guru. What to speak of the benefit that you can have. So this was astonishing for us to hear. Right? He's saying, what to speak of you? I accept him as my Shiksha Guru. Right? And we see the reciprocal love and affection and genuine mutual appreciation of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Guru Maharaj. So now it's almost reached the point of being commonly acknowledged and expressed that Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktavesh avatar, right? But you have to remember, from whom did that declaration come? Who has the authority to make such a pronouncement, to declare someone an avatar, a Shaktavesh avatar, and who would believe it? Who would take that seriously? That came from the lotus mouth of Srila Guru Maharaj. He's the one who declared Srila Prabhupada Shaktavesh avatar. In a sense, even his own disciples didn't have the, and they're not known for any shyness on this subject, they didn't have the audacity to say that, nor the authority that it would be accepted as being a legitimate assessment. But Srila Guru Maharaj, when he said that, then everyone happily accepted that and embraced that. Just as Srila Krishna's Babaji Maharaj, he would go around the Sri Gaudiya Mat, and in addition to the songs, the standard songs that we're singing, he's always singing songs of Guru Maharaj, right? And again, we may think, of course, but that is not normal or usual, that you'll go everywhere and sing the songs of your god brother that he's composed or written, right? But again, happily embraced, accepted. And when Srila Guru Maharaj said to Babaji Maharaj, why are you singing my slokas and my songs everywhere? Like, Pranamami Shada Prabhupada Padam, Sujanar Buddharadita, etc. Padajugam Jugadharma Durandara Patra Baram Baradayaka Puja Param Pranamami Shada Prabhupada Padam. Babaji Maharaj said, because I consider them to be on the same level as Rupa Goswami. Again, that is an astonishing statement. It's not, he could have said, oh, I find them very inspiring. I like them very much, and I find them inspiring. That would have been nice enough. Saying, what you write gives some inspiration to me. But he said, I find them to be of the same quality as what is given by Sri Rupa. That is extraordinary. And if someone asked me to say, well, we know Krishna's Babaji Maharaj, he's a big fan of Srila Guru Maharaj, so he's saying these things, but how far is it true? Then I say, in the Chaitanyastakam of Rupa Goswami, Raso Dhamma Kamar Buddha Madhura Dhammojvala Tanur Jatinam Utangshas Tarani Koti Vidyoti Basana Hiranyanam Lakshmi Varan Abhiva Angika Richa Sat Chaitanya Kime Punar Apidashor Yasyati Padam. So there he's saying, Raso Dhamma Kamar Buddha. It's talking about how sweet and beautiful is the divine form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It says, Raso Dhamma Kamar Buddha. Kama Arbuddha means 10 million cupids. And he's saying Raso Dham, meaning full-blown cupidity. I'm repurposing that word, meaning the full radiance and seductive sweetness and charm, right? And then, so he's saying Raso Dhamma Kamar, Dhamojjala Tanu means form, Madhurojjala, this shining, beautiful, sweet form. So he says like that, 10 million cupids, that type of draw and power. So then, where is it? Oh. Srila Guru Maharaj. So that's the poem of Rupa Goswami. Any parallel? If Babaji Maharaj says, I find it to be same, but different as Rupa Goswami. Then Guru Maharaj. Swarna Koti Darpanaba Deha Varna Gauravam Padma Parijata Banditanga Saurabam Koti Kami Murchitangri Rupa Rasa Rangaram Prema Dama Deva Meva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. When he says Swarna Koti Darpanaba, he's saying his golden radiance is like 10 million brilliant, shining mirrors of gold, right? And he talks about the fragrance, aroma. Then he says, Koti Kami Murchitangri Rupa Rasa Rangaram. So Rupa Goswami said like 10 million cupids in terms of full-blown cupidity, sweetness. Guru Maharaj says 10 million cupids will faint to see the beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Janava Devi, joining the Gaur Katha. And so then we see what Babaji Maharaj said rings true, right? But then we see how it's also unique. Guru Maharaj said about Srila Saraswati Thakur, what I liked about my Guru Maharaj is he was not vomiting what he heard from others, but giving something fresh, right? So, Srila Gurudev once compared Srila Guru Maharaj, his, you could say style of delivery, but meaning substance as well, in comparison to two other worshipable God brothers who have very much appreciation for Srila Guru Maharaj. So, Gurudev said about this one God brother, he said, his style is like a waterfall, just very intense, and he said, but it's not so clear exactly what's being expressed, but a great level of intensity. He said, there's the other God brother, he said, like a pond, very clear, very gentle in his but like not dynamic. And then he said, and what is Srila Guru Maharaj? He said like a fountain of nectar coming from the unknown quarter, giving something fresh at every moment. And he could say that to those God brothers, and they would not be, they would not take offense. They would be happy about that. We know, so Srila Swami Maharaj, he accepts Guru Maharaj as his Shiksha Guru. Prakrita Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj would always invite Srila Guru Maharaj to his Vyas Puja. And at the end of his Vyas Puja, all the donations and everything that was given to him, he would give to Guru Maharaj. And that's highly unusual. And Madhava Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Dvaita Madhava Maharaj of Gaurimat would come and stay with Guru Maharaj like a month every year. And he used to say, he would say, you are deceiving the devotional public. And you think, well, is that a compliment? Is that a nice thing to say? But what he meant was, everyone should hear you. They should be hearing from you, but you've concealed yourself in your mat in Navadvip. But actually, we want to take you everywhere and let everyone hear your unparalleled Krishna Katha, Gaur Katha, and glorification of Srimati Radharani and Mahaprabhu. And this was noticed even in the beginning when he was a white-clad Vanaprastha in Gaudiya Math. And so they have a preaching party, and you have like the one or two leading, and he's like the new devotee assistant. And they want to collect donations from some wealthy merchant in Kolkata, but he's in the midst of Chandi puja, Shakti worship of the goddess. And so the people are saying that, oh, he can't come and meet with you now. He has to wait for the Chandi puja to finish, and they're reading from the Chandi book and everything. And the devotees, they're perplexed what to do. And Guru Maharaj says to that man, oh, you must save him from this. And he said, what? He said, let me speak to him. And he said, can't you hear what they're reading from the book? And he's saying, what? What are they saying? And they say, well, one thing they're saying is, this must be conducted very briefly. It should not be a very extensive amount of time, but it should be conducted very briefly. And the person who's reading the mantras, he cannot move his head to the left, he cannot move his head to the right. He must keep looking forward, and if he violates that, then there will be some inauspicious outcome. And he's violating that, and he's taking too much time. And then the man was like, oh, thank you for saving me. And then he gave a big donation. And he told the other devotees, he said, about Guru Maharaj, he said, this man knows everything. Right? So he could see that. And even Srila Saraswati Thakur, he said once, Sridharam Sakalaveti, Sridhar knows everything, because of Guru Maharaj's ability to extract the inner meaning of the scriptures and also apply that in any given situation. We know once one devotee was in the room of Srila Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Saraswati Thakur was expressing some appreciation for him and his service, and he came out and to the outer room, and Guru Maharaj is there and some other devotees, and he's sharing, he's saying, well, Prabhupada was saying, and he's telling them all the glorification that he was just given, and how exclusive his position is, and and Guru Maharaj quoted some Sanskrit in the corner, and then the others, they start to giggle, like those who know Sanskrit, and he's going, what did he say? What did Sridhar Maharaj say? And he quoted the verse where it says, from the Rasa Leela, that each gopi thought that Krishna was hers and hers alone. So not only can he quote all these scriptures, but make it relevant to the circumstance in a very practical way. So when Guru Maharaj was collecting and had to go to a government office, and this could only happen in India, they have some money set aside for religious institutions. And so when Guru Maharaj is coming, basically just to pick up the check from that man and bring it back so they can construct a temple in the Madras Gaudiya Math in South India. And so, but when he arrives, they find the man who had agreed to that previously, he's no longer in that service. He's been replaced by another man. And that man tells him, like, new administration. And he said, but one thing I want to tell you is that if there are any surplus funds, it won't be used for making a math. If there are any surplus funds, it will be used in some humanitarian activity like feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, shelter for the homeless. It'll be used for, it won't be for these, for a religious institution. And Srila Guru Maharaj thought inside himself and said, oh, what can I do? Srila Saraswati Thakur may be disappointed. I'm coming back empty-handed. So he's praying, and he said internally, he has a vision of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he's praying to his Guru Maharaj for some inspiration to help him in this situation. And the verse that comes to him is from the Rasa Lila section of the Bhagavatam. So we might think, well, how is that practical? You've got this circumstance staring you in the face. It's inescapable. And you're coming with some sloka from the Rasa Lila. How is that practical? And Srila Guru Maharaj quoted the verse, says, Vikrititam brajabadu viritam cha Vishnu swadhan vito anushanayad varnayejat bhakti param bhagavati pratilabdikamam hridrogamashu api hinoti achirena dira. And it's talking about who is qualified to express these divine pastimes under how they shall be heard, Sradhanvato Anusridayad, in the disciplic line, from the qualified person. It's a transaction of faith toward the dira, those whose senses are undisturbed by the mundane and don't even have a remote trace of mundane erotic tendencies, so many things. But then there's this line there, and it said, and what will it do? If you can create the circumstances whereby these things will be heard, these divine pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Krishna and Braja Gopis, what will be the result? Hridrogamashu api hinoti, that hridrogam, the heart disease, which is at the root cause of material existence and the suffering of the people, that will be eliminated. And the heart's, in its cured condition, in its healthy condition, this natural flow of love and affection will be released from the heart. So he's saying, hridrogam, that's heart disease. What is that? Doesn't mean in the biological external sense, but internally, consumerism. Just that now in the modern world, what is behind all of these, the present masters of the internet, when all is said and done, they want to stimulate insatiable desire in us and just sell more and more mirages, illusions of attaining fulfillment or happiness by controlling, acquiring, and consuming things that are lower than ourselves. And so that's hridrogam, consumerism. And then Guru Maharaj gave these examples, which were shocking to hear and dramatically. And we don't think of Srila Guru Maharaj in this way, but he's representing a particular position. So he said, when I was in the body of an elephant, I consumed jungles, and that hunger was not satisfied. In the body of a stool-eating pig, I consumed hills of stool, and that hunger was not satisfied. So what can address the real hunger of the heart, what the heart is hankering for? Prati anga lage kande prati anga more. What will satisfy every atom of every soul's hankering is Krishna connection. And how do you get Krishna connection? By hearing about Krishna. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara srinvatamte. All these examples we hear mean that, and our own experience, not just from the scriptures, which is the most authoritative representation of this transaction, but in our own lives, they've been changed. Their hearing about Krishna is a life-altering experience. And whatever our faults or lack of qualifications may be, we can't deny that that is what has changed the trajectory of our lives, is having the good fortune to hear about Krishna from his devotees. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam kavibir iditam kalmasha apaham Srimad Mangalam Bhuvi Granantite Buri Daljana, Srimad Atatam Bhuvi Granantite Buri Daljana, saying those who do this, who give the gift of Harikatha, of Krishna Katha. They're the real humanitarians, altruists, welfare workers in this world. And when Mahaprabhu collapsed from exhaustion of dancing at the Rath Yatra and enters the garden there, perhaps the Jagannath Ballabh garden, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and the others push forward Pratap Parudra Maharaj, not in the dress of a king, but in the dress of a humble Vaishnava. And so Mahaprabhu lying there, and he begins to massage his lotus feet. When he quotes this verse, and it's from the Gopi Gita, right? And what are they telling us? It's an amazing thing, actually. Because they think, well, that's the Braja Gopis. What about us? They're saying, no, all suffering comes from separation from Krishna. In their case, they can never forget Krishna for a moment. And so in a, in a mystical, inverted way, they're saying, oh, if we'd never heard about Krishna, how much better we would be. We can't stop thinking about him, or the sweet sound of his flute, or his delicate lotus feet. Oh, Radharani calling a meeting of the Braja Gopis saying, I know what our problem is, and I've got a strategy to deal with that. What is it? The flute. The problem is the flute, the sweet sound of his flute. So what we need to do is steal the flute, and then our problems will be solved. In a very sweet way they're dealing, but the Braja Gopis say, so when our hearts are pained by separation from Krishna, what brings us relief? Hearing about Krishna, talking about Krishna. And then, and we say, but that's them, what about us? Yes, we're suffering on account of separation from Krishna, but instead of in remembrance and forgetfulness, but the same cure, the same thing is the cure, to hear about Krishna, to talk about Krishna. Tapta Jivanam means, then that'll put an end to the suffering. Jivanam means give life. Tapta Jivanam, Tavakatamritam, Tapta Jivanam, Kavibir. Srimad Atatam means, and then you'll get so much wealth. Srimad Atatam, and then Mangalam, beginning of all auspiciousness. And this Bhuvi Grananti Te, Buri Dajana. When Prataparudra sang that line, Mahaprabhu jumped up and said, yes, those who tell us about Krishna are our real friends, are really benevolent for everyone in the world. And he said, and it's so valuable, I can't repay you for that, so all I can do is hug you. So long at last he achieved the embrace of Mahaprabhu. So Guru Maharaj said, the center that we wish to establish will address the root cause of the suffering of everyone by establishing a center where you can hear about Krishna and sing the glories of Krishna. And the man began to cry. Guru Maharaj got through to him. And Guru Maharaj said, he turned to him and he said, Swamiji, I believe in God. And Guru Maharaj said, yes, your tears are the evidence of that. And then happily, he gave that check so they could build the Madras Gaudiya Math. And when Srila Guru Maharaj, the word would come to Srila Saraswati Thakur from Srila Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Maharaj telling Saraswati Thakur that whether it is with an ancient Sanskritian or a modern educated European or American, he's saying he can represent you perfectly to both groups. Because there's some who can deal with the ancient Sanskritians, some who can have a modern approach. He's saying he does it all. And Srila Ban Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Hridoy Ban Maharaj told when they were touring the South India and they came to Godavari, where the Ramananda Sambad was spoke, and Guru Maharaj said the Ramananda Sambad is the source of his ontological method. All of his wealth of interpretation comes from there. And on the banks of that Godavari river, where Ramananda Roy spoke his famous responses and teachings to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Ban Maharaj said, who'd heard everyone, he said, what Guru Maharaj spoke there was the greatest lecture ever given of all time. And he went to Saraswati Thakur and said, Ramendra Sundar Prabhu, he should get sannyas from you. And we know when Srila Guru Maharaj penned the Prema Dhammadeva Stotram, and just think about this, started off as 5 verses. So Gurudev published it, and their Gaudiya Darshan, and thinking, oh, it's a Panchakam, means a 5-sloka prayer. Then Guru Maharaj wrote a few more. Gurudev said, oh, actually it's an Astakam, 8. Then Dashakam, 10. Dwadashakam, 12. And he's saying, oh, so wonderful. Then, 13, 14, 20, 30, 50. It's like Guru just keeps streaming, as Gurudev said, from the unknown quarter, something fresh coming at every moment. And he's just astonished. Then it ended up being 70, 72, signed at one point, Ramananda Das, because after his extraordinary representation of the Ramananda Sambad, remember, of which Mahaprabhu told Pradyumna Mishra, when Mahaprabhu says, Ami Krishna Katha Janina, I don't know Krishna Katha. If you want to hear it, you have to go to Ramananda. And how many Ramanandas are there? Ek Ramananda. Only that implies a particular quality of representation. And Srila Saraswati Thakur recognized that unique, singular level of perfect representation, and even showing some new color from Srila Guru Maharaj. So he changed his name from Ramendra Sundar to Ramananda Das, and then later to Bhakti Raksak, Sridhar Dev-Goswami. And in the beginning, when I was forming a press and to publish and print the books of Srila Guru Maharaj, I was thinking how to represent this Bhakti Raksak in the English language. And so I thought about, and I thought, oh, the guardian of devotion. And then told that to Srila Gurudev and Srila Guru Maharaj. I went to call the press that will publish your books the Guardian of Devotion Press, implying that Srila Guru Maharaj is in fact the guardian of devotion. And very happily, Guru Maharaj and Gurudev accepted that name for the press, and Guru Maharaj, as we can sometimes refer to him, as the guardian of devotion. So, because that's what he does, amidst so many other things. So Srila Saraswati Thakur recognized that unique ability in Srila Guru Maharaj to represent him. And we're told when they have the press, and Saraswati Thakur, he'll go on a tour of the press and see what's coming up in the next issue of Harmonist magazine or various Gaudiya Math publications. And incidentally, we're also told, sometimes when he's doing that, this is the level of Saraswati Thakur, he'll see an excerpt from Chaitanya Bhagavat and go into a deep state of ecstasy. His hairs will start standing on, his body trembling, and he's trying his best to conceal and suppress these ecstatic symptoms. But different devotees awaken to a particular level of spiritual realization and devotional. I could see that just in his touring the press, right? And seeing, here's Chaitanya Bhagavat, so then he sees this verse that says, Sri Gauranamatam Swarupa Viditam Rupagrajen Adritam Rupadye Pariveshitam Raghugunai Ashwaditam Sevitam Jivadya Barakshitam Sukha Shiva Brahma Samanitam, and then Udava Praptitam Sri Radha Padasevan Amritam Ahod Tadatu Misho Bhavan. 12 or 10 prayer and glorification of Srila Bhakti Vinod, the Bhakti Vinod Viraha Dasakam, 10 prayers in glorification on the separation from Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And reading that one, they're all beautiful. But reading this particular sloka, Srila Saraswati Thakur says, who wrote this? And see how beautiful it is. This is about recognizing divine substance and personality on a pure assessment level of spiritual substance, that will reveal identity. Right? So he says, who has written this? And one of the Maharajas there says, oh, Sridhar Maharaj. And that's when Saraswati Thakur says, oh, Sridhar Maharaj has not written this. They're like, what? You know, he's saying, Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written this through him. It's that perfect, right? And he's saying, oh, now I am happy that what I came to give, right? Remember, what is Saraswati Thakur come to give? He's descended into this world being irresistibly drawn in attraction, captured by the wealth from the melted heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That's why he descended here. And he wants to give that to others, right? So he's saying, oh, now, because Guru Maharaj in this prayer, he's saying, oh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is your gift to the world. Why Mahaprabhu came down, that is the internal reason for his descent is known only fully to Swarup Damodar. And that is worshipped by Sanatana Goswami Prabhu and being expanded and extended by Srila Rupadye Pariveshitam. They're writing so many literatures and extending that to others. And Ragugunai Ashwaditam. And Raghunath Das is tasting that with Krishna Das, and they're extending it to others. By their tasting, it's actually becoming enhanced. Unlike mundane substance, someone tastes that, they're extracting the taste, it becomes tasteless. This, by their relishing, is becoming even more tasteful. Jiva Dhyeva Abhirakshitam. And Jiva Goswami is protecting that, like Raksak, like Saraswati Thakur as well. And what? Jiva Dhyeva Abhirakshitam, Shuka, Shiva, Brahma, Uddhava, they're all aspiring for a drop of this divine substance. And just see Guru Maharaj's ability to properly and in a worshipful, respectful way assess each one of these divine personalities and express and recognize and worship what is their gift, what they're each giving. Not some general idea, but specifically what their contribution is. And then what does he say? So then what is it that Sukha, Shiva, Brahma, Uddhava want to have a drop of? Sri Radha Padasevanamritam. Aho Tadatum. Aho means, oh, that is your gift. Sri Radha Padasevanamritam. The nectarine service of the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So Saraswati Thakur is saying, that's what I've come to give. And here's a man who's received it. And now I'm satisfied that although I may and will leave this world, at least one man remains behind who will be able to fully and perfectly represent me. And the gift of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Rupa Nuga line. And then 24 hours before his departure from this world, he called Srila Guru Maharaj, all the Gaudiya Math devotees there, the luminaries of Sri Gaudiya Math. And although Jajavar Maharaj had been singing up to that point daily for the last 3 months of Srila Saraswati Thakur's life, he was singing Sri Rupa Manjari Pada every day and other songs. But he was singing that. So that underscores that this is the significance of this particular event. So everything's been going a particular way up to this point. Now it's 24 hours before the departure of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And he calls Srila Guru Maharaj to his disappearance bed and said, I want to hear the song Sri Rupa Manjari Pada from your lips. And Guru Maharaj, as in his own words, backward pushing man, hesitating to come forward, shy, non-self-asserting. So Kunja Babu, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj at the time, the manager of Sri Gaudiya Math, he told Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, you sing, because he was a known, excellent kirtaniya, And so he begins singing, and then Saraswati Thakur stops him from singing and said, no, I don't want to hear the sweet tune. I want to hear from the lips of Sridhar Maharaj. In other words, who's, as Puri Maharaj himself would say later, Rupa Nugadara, who's carrying the current of Srila Rupa Goswami. And he said, we witnessed in this a mystic power transmission of the Rupa Nuga line from Srila Saraswati Thakur to Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Raksak, Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj. And then Guru Maharaj sang Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. And then so I'd say, your godbrothers, Srila Puri Maharaj, he was there, and he said, what we saw was a mystic, power transmission of the Rupa Nuga line. And Guru Maharaj said, yes, my godbrothers say, and at that moment, I was given entrance into the group of Sri Rupa Manjari. And he said, but I rather like to say, posted at the gate, like the gatekeeper. He said, and who decides? We might, Gurudev will say, no, Guru Maharaj is inside, and we worship that. But Guru Maharaj is deflecting, showing his Vaishnava humility, but at the same time, what is the job of the gatekeeper? We know the gatekeeper can go in at any time, and actually, but what is their job? He said, and these are his words, he said, to decide who will enter and who will not. And that when Guru Maharaj told it, we were all sort of like leaning forward, and Guru Maharaj said, and I'm not allowing everyone, and we all went like, back off. But who's one such person that he gave entrance to? Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. But so Guru Maharaj said like that. They're saying, rather posted to see who will enter and who shall not. So, in so many ways, the glories of Srila Guru Maharaj are there. And we know in 1941, Srila Swami Maharaj's sister, Bhavatarini Didi, she had first initiation from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wanted to take second initiation from Srila Guru Maharaj. But again, he was hesitating. Guru Maharaj always very thoughtfully, carefully considering how he shall move. Everything. There has to be internal, a scanning of sadhu, shastra, guru, Vaishnav, and internal Atma Samiksha, self-analysis, before he feels when he says, wait and see which way the divine will move next. All things are not meant to please me. So Maharaj, I'm going to call on you in a second. And so he was hesitating to do that, but he thought, well, Goswami Maharaj had Ritvik authority in the lifetime of Saraswati Thakur, go to him. So she took second initiation from Goswami Maharaj. But she paid for the printing of Prapanna Jivanamritam, 1941. But if we think like, oh, he did that. But remember, then Guru Maharaj's Gita, which later becomes Hidden Treasure. The point I'm making, it was not like Guru Maharaj had some realizations up to 1941 and then shared those over the next 40 years. No, after that came the Prema Dhamma Deva Stotram, those 70 slokas, subjective evolution of consciousness, search for Sri Krishna, reality of the beautiful, Sri Guru and his grace, golden volcano of divine love. Again, a unique, no one had called Mahaprabhu the golden volcano. No one gave this comparison. What, like a volcanic eruption and the lava coming from the heart of Radharani expressed by Mahaprabhu. That lava-like burning and volcanic eruption, that sort of intensity. All these things from Guru Maharaj, loving search for the lost servant. And his last book that we published from, subjective evolution of consciousness. You won't find that anywhere, right? There is no Sanskrit equivalent of the subjective evolution of consciousness. There's actually no equivalent in any other language. It did not exist in English till it came from the lotus mouth of Srila Guru Maharaj. Again, original and fresh, and an atom bomb to Darwinian objective evolution. So still, and I've mentioned, sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj, with childlike delight and wonder, would say to me, and this was in the 80s, he'd say, "Oh, this just came to me the other day." So new things coming always from Srila Guru Maharaj. And I'll just conclude with this. When he thought he was going to leave the world, he said, "I face a dilemma." I mean, what is that? He's going, meditate on Mahaprabhu or Krishna? Gaur Leela or Krishna Leela? And I don't think there's any suspense in what the answer was. It was Gaur Leela. And then Guru Maharaj said, and then my life extended for preaching. And then in his final days, Dayal Nitai, and taking Mahaprabhu on parikrama and of Gaur Mandal. So Srila Guru Maharaj had the certificate from Srila Saraswati Thakur that he's carrying the current of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Rupa Nugadara. He transferred that full wealth to Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj. He had this unparalleled appreciation from Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and all the God brothers, Madhava Maharaj, Ban Maharaj, Jajavar Maharaj, all the Gaudiya Math luminaries, and Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. And I think Guru Maharaj could have only appeared in this month, the month of Srimati Radharani, and of whom Srila Guru Maharaj said, "When I think of Radharani, I lose my existence." And one last thing, when people would say, like, what is the difference between Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math and any other Krishna conscious institution? We could say, in a nutshell, primary education, secondary education. But when Srila Guru Maharaj was pressed like this, his answer was, in one instance, he told me to carry I pulled a chair off of his veranda over on top of the Nat Mandir. And I was surprised to see Guru Maharaj walk on that little walkway you ever see above that links his veranda to the Nat Mandir. And he told me to put a chair over there. And I brought that man who was one of the leaders of ISKCON, because he's saying, all right, now he's going to tell me or demonstrate to me what is the existence. And what did Srila Guru Maharaj? This is his own way of dealing with it. Gayatri Muralista Kirtana Dhanam Radha Padam Dhimai. He showed how he extracted Radha Dasyam from the Gayatri mantram. Artoyam Brahmasutranam Bharatartha Vinirnaya. Gayatri Basya Rupo showing. What is the Bhagavatam? It's going to present Krishna conception. And what is substantial Krishna conception? Achieved at the holy lotus feet of Radharani. Meaning you don't get any superior quantity and quality of Krishna conception than through her. So he's saying, if the Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Gayatri, then what is the Gayatri about? Radha Dasyam. What is the flute song of Krishna about? Like Gurudev would say, what is Krishna's fluting matter? Gayatri Muralista Kirtana Dhanam Radha Padam Dhimai. So it's through Srila Guru Maharaj that this marvelous transformation took place, where Krishna centered, and then marvelously the shift went Kintu Prabhoya Priya Eva Tasya, from Prabhu to Prabhu Priya, meaning Achyuta Priya Srimati Radharani. So once you come in connection with Srila Guru Maharaj, you must come in connection with the holy lotus feet and service of Srimati Radharani, and as personified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the last thing, and then you'll speak, Maharaj. Guru Maharaj said to me, so, of the books that we've published, which is your favorite? And then I thought, like, is this a trick question? Like, I don't want to answer wrong. So I was like, And Guru Maharaj couldn't wait for me to answer. And then like a blushing bride, Guru Maharaj, he said, golden volcano. Yeah. Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Baditra Madran Manaso Rasena. Always relishing the pastimes and position of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Srila Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj Avirbha Maha Mahotsavati Ki Jai. Now to hear something from Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadut Maharaj.
I'll try to be short but consistent, because it says in the Bhagavatam, the fruit tasted by a parrot will relish more sweetness. So when we say Krishna consciousness is Krishna is a fruit of Vedic tree, but really when is that taste are coming? When it's been tasted by some connoisseur, someone who has full appreciation of the substance. And we can say, oh, there's so many sages, and there's so many rishis, and there's so many munis.
Yeah.
As Guru Maharaj said, rishi, muni, sages, they all trying to worship Mahaprabhu. But when we say who's the real connoisseur, we can say it's Krishna himself. But as we said, Guru Maharaj, Krishna cannot taste himself. He needs to have a particular position, a particular point of view, as we say, angle of the camera, angle of the, perspective, and that is, could be a Radharani or it could be Baladev. But as we know, in Madhurya Rasa, that is the superior taste. So then Guru Maharaj wrote this amazing shloka, Nilam Bodhitate Sadakshi Padabhandavam Shrimad Bhagavati Katha Majiraya Punjayati Bhatiyach. So he's defining that extreme spiritual taste which is coming from Mahaprabhu within very, very small circle of not only liberated souls, but the souls that can provide that service of relishing that. And if we can carefully, with deep respect, observe that group, we'll see Haridas Thakur destined. And Guru Maharaj is giving revelation in his Prapanna Jivanamrita, because he say, one who cannot, purely be accepted by holy name and himself accept holy name can be saved by surrender.
Yeah.
So that is, Haridas Thakur never certain of his own position, but even in this condition, he preferred to be destined from, like, he's not like, oh, what are they talking about? Let me, he very...
It's a respectful distance.
Yes, he's very gently observing this and realizing what is that I'm trying to get in Krishna Nam that is fully expressed by that Mahaprabhu. But I'm not quite sure if I can step into this environment because I don't, consider myself qualified. So this is a very humble approach. Consider, Saraswati Thakur called him Brahma Haridas. And then you think, well, Haridas, while Brahma's running universe, what happened? Then Madhvacharya is explaining. He said, when it comes into like Yudhishthir, Arjuna, or some great personalities, the gods are extending their avesh into that personality. It's not that Brahma does not exist, but it's basically his own self. He might keeping a copy of himself and a spiritual to run the universe, but really his inner self has been entered in this personality, and he's enjoying and relishing something that he could not even achieve in his own direct connection with Krishna. So think of this idea: even achieving something directly with Krishna, you cannot really taste and relish this without Mahaprabhu. Then ontologically we can say Prabhupada, he's a Krishna's giver. Like he came to the Western world, as Goswami Maharaj described yesterday, and technically, with the $4 in the pocket, revealed God to, Western world. And when we say Western world, we say deep impression on Judaica-Christian conception, deep ignorance for thousands of years, accepting religion that technically is nothing but just social, material, political way to control people. Of course, in any religion, you'll find some saints who's leading towards, they're saying, oh, love of God, that's what we should lead for. But that's not like a general, approach. It's not like love of God is being elaborately practiced in devotional service and the form of God. None of it has been given, actually, to the Western world. So when Prabhupada came, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, everything has been established. And it it resonates within the hearts of the most fortunate souls. It wasn't like, oh, now that we know God is Krishna, everybody jump on that. It wasn't the jump. But that was the base necessarily to establish what is the process which is described by Rupa Goswami, so that we understand without Mahaprabhu, Krishna is inaccessible. It even says in Bhagavatam, another scripture. So those who will worship Krishna but will deny Mahaprabhu should be considered as demons, because their worship is not a true worship. We can't say they're true followers, because Janma karma chame divyam smaram yaveti tatvatah. If you're not accepting, if you're not technically accepting, those who are, Janma karma, the world of Krishna, his relatives, his devotees, and so what to speak about Radharani and Mahaprabhu himself, you have to accept Mahaprabhu. So Guru Maharaj is Mahaprabhu giver. His ontological presentation of Mahaprabhu, he's actually revealing how can you get to Krishna. And not only he's revealing that, he's fully himself observing that. And, we should also praise Srila Govinda Maharaj, who's been trying to assist him all his conscious life in order to create this, unique environment around Guru Maharaj. Because if you say Prabhupada went, all over the world, and Govinda Maharaj went all over the world, then somebody may say, well, what is the Guru Maharaj's investment in this? Is he just a sage sitting on the roof of his temple and, writing few slokas that we cannot even understand and appreciate? Or it's something more? Yeah. So then the question has come, why the Rupa Goswami's book are forbidden, or Raghunath Das Goswami books are forbidden? I mean, certain books are reveals, the higher ones, because they're not meant to please
neophytes.
They're meant to please Krishna himself.
And Siddha
and
devotees.
Those who has appreciation at that level. So without that ideals of Rupa Goswami, we cannot claim that our sampradaya has deeper exchange on spiritual level and has deeper revelation, which any other sampradaya, including Madhva sampradaya, which is so great. So as Guru Maharaj said, the higher idea always will observe the lower idea. That's how it works. The higher idea comes and absorbs. Yeah, so that is what we can see, that those who had some fortune and sukriti towards Krishna consciousness were totally observant to Guru Maharaj's way of taking them deeper, further, and by Srila Govinda Maharaj mercifully other group being established, besides some connoisseurs.
Yeah.
As we can say, who are there, like few people in the world, technically speaking, Someone like Pusta Krishna with his, academic skills, but he could appreciate, Guru Maharaj and Mahaprabhu. But not every guru could, whether it's...
But Saraswati Thakur's disciples did.
Right. Yeah. Right. So we can say it's not just a circle of newly recruited Western section. So as Guru,
it was more the higher section of Gaudiya Math gurus. They appreciate it.
Right. So Goswami Maharaj is giving proper input. So we can't challenge, or we can't consider, if Western people could not appreciate Srila Guru Maharaj, then his mission is failure. No, we can't say that. What we can say, Saraswati Thakur himself, he's liberated, associates, including Krishnadas, Kaviraj, Goswami Maharaj, Jadavar Maharaj, Puri Maharaj, all of them actually. Yeah, Madhav Maharaj, all of them. But just to conclude this thing, so we can understand that not only Guru Maharaj is giver of Mahaprabhu, proper understanding of Mahaprabhu, because I believe without Guru Maharaj, you can't properly understand Mahaprabhu. Yeah. And what to speak about devotion, like, how can you understand devotion without Prapana Jivanamritam? Right. Because it's all based on surrender. Some people think, I got the beats. Right. And Guru Maharaj said, you can't get to Krishna Nam, and you can only overcome your inability of chanting Krishna Nam through surrender. That was like a shocking thing to me.
Call his collection of songs Sharanagati.
Right. And Guru Maharaj wrote commentaries on Sharanagati of Bhakti Vinod, and also giving his own version of Sharanagati as Prapana Jivanamritam. So as we can say, one of the Gaudiya Math brothers, senior ones, when they asked him, so how do we understand Prabhupada Jivanamrita? He said, if you put this book on a scale of all other scriptures, just like a scale, this book will weigh them all because it's an extract of all scriptural. The old scriptural statements are leading you towards unconditional surrender. So Guru Maharaj...
That will give you everything.
Right. Guru Maharaj, instead of let me give you the whole, 18 Puranas and Vedas and Tantras and Aranyakas, let me summarize everything. Because he knew that was like Vedavyas work.
Yeah.
So Guru Maharaj wanted to summarize what Vedavyas is giving by desire to give his own Bhagavad commentary, which is from interesting point, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur giving Bhagavad Arkamrichamal 1,000 verses. But Guru Maharaj would say, well, it would be more practical in a very circle of Mahaprabhu, where they would describe things. What if they would talk from Bhagavatam? Would they be speaking certain slokas of Bhagavatam? What would they be talking? Atomic part, who's the Panchanagas? Obviously, all this knowledge is great knowledge, but Mahaprabhu would pick something, and Swarup Damodar, and they would pick something very, very, very different Bhagavad than what common people know. Then Guru Maharaj has had this quality and ability, and I believe since his blessing of revealing that Bhagavad treasure is still there, maybe, someone like Goswami Maharaj can do this in the future and represent fully and to continue his work. In other words, sometimes in the lectures of our preachers, we see Guru Maharaj's line of thought are being continued. Guru Maharaj's mercy and heart being continued by Srila Govinda Maharaj, and we all got accepted, not because we qualified, just because we got accepted.
Because Srila Govinda Maharaj wants to serve Guru Maharaj, he accepted us.
Right. So we've been accepted under one condition. You may not qualify, but if you stick around long enough around this idea, eventually one day there might be little taste will come to you, and then you'll be able to value. It's just like when baby born in wealthy or educated family, and he doesn't really value his family environment, but then relatives will say, what's the hope for him? The same, maybe one day he has to...
the inherited wealth
right.
will come to him. He just has to remain alive.
So anyway, I'm not a big speaker on any substance when it comes to Guru Maharaj. I know it's a very specific way we should behave and speak. We can't possibly go wrong. Guru Maharaj would not allow that. And Govinda Maharaj would not be satisfied. But I think today our gurus are satisfied because we heard very systematic, clear representation from Srila Goswami Maharaj. I throw a few drops. I see Bhakti Lalita, Shrimati Bhakti Lalita, accepting
One
it.
thing you said that makes me think too is two things. One about Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. So remember, this is also Bira Chandra Prabhu's appearance day, correct?
Yeah.
So, in short, we're told, if you, how do you get to Mahaprabhu? But by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. Right? So he's the Kripa avatar. There's so many avatars. What's he the avatar of? Mercy. So if you're unfit, and we're unfit, so Nityananda Prabhu will bring you to Mahaprabhu, who gives you Radha Govinda. That's the system. But it's hard to imagine and seems inconceivable. Who could be more merciful than Nityananda Prabhu? We're told Birachandra Prabhu. Because there are certain people who seemed really hopeless or beyond saving. He could save them. So Birachandra Prabhu, we're told, somehow inconceivably is more merciful than Nityananda Prabhu. And that place goes, Ekachakra also goes by the name of Birachandrapur, and recognition of that. But then, so Srila Govinda Maharaj is always knowing everything, like you say, perfectly, and how to give the perfect type of glorification. And so Guru Maharaj is saying, if you know one side of Guru Maharaj, you could think, well, he's very strict, it has to be this way, and everything perfect, and only Srila Guru Govinda Maharaj can deliver that type of seva, but he's accepting all of us in the background, but he's the only one who can really deal with Srila Guru Maharaj directly, and Guru Maharaj cannot tolerate if one thing is off, because that's the service of Radharani. Everything has to be perfect, every time. First time, every time. So he's saying, but if you think so that he's as dharmic as Ramachandra, and if you might think on account of that, maybe he's not as gracious or merciful or compassionate. And he said, no. So he's combining the dharmic level of Ramachandra, and he's saying, but he is more merciful than Birachandra Prabhu. And you say, well, what is the evidence for that? It was astonishing enough for us to think that someone could be more merciful than Nityananda. Now you're saying, then that's Birachandra, and now you're telling Srila Sridhar, he's more merciful than Birachandra Prabhu? Because he is including this because it's Birachandra Prabhu's appearance day, and Gurudev said, yes, because my Guru Maharaj saved me. He saved this soul. And we never think of him as a fallen soul, but as someone who can perfectly represent our position. So in that way, and then Srila Guru Maharaj, who's like that, it took Srila Gurudev to include all of us. Right, to mercifully, by his inconceivably generous and liberal heart, to accept all of us in service to the lotus feet of his Guru Maharaj. And one other thing Maharaj said, like, so we can understand about Prabhupada, spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, and he said, what, also, Gurudev, what was it, 26 times, or it keeps going up. I mean, it's in the 20s, the mid-20s, world tours and everything.
24, 26,
yeah.
Considering what would be the...
Right.
Thailand would
What
not be the world tour.
And only Madhusudan Maharaj can answer what qualifies as a world tour. He has a system of analysis. But so, Yudamanyu Prabhu and Jivanadidi, when they came to help me in San Jose to promote Guru Maharaj, they arrived in something that was affectionately known as the garbage truck. That's what he left ISKCON with. This flatbed truck that's only purpose was to carry refuse to a dump like once a week. They said, all right, well, I guess you can have that, on your way out. So they show up in that, and that's the vehicle that we have. And I just remember, so Yudamanyu and I were going across the Golden Gate Bridge. That's that famous bridge, the entrance and exit of San Francisco. And it's a very noisy truck, and we're bouncing along and everything. And this point comes up. He's saying, what do we say to those people who say he's never left the veranda in Navadvip? He's preaching all these high things, but he didn't go outside of India and go around the world. And, what did we say to that, And I'm sitting on the other side, and I got this inspiration. I said, Prabhu, when we get finished with what we're about to do, thinking like the Garden of Devotion, all these books, I said, don't worry, I guarantee you, it won't be an issue anymore. When we're done, nobody will bring this up as an issue anymore, because Guru Maharaj is going to go all over the world. And I had to say it to Guru Maharaj just because I would never forgive myself if I didn't say it. So I said to him, knowing fully well what the answer would be, I said, Maharaj, if your divine grace would consider, just visiting America once. Saraswati Thakur wanted you to preach in the Western world, and we can all arrange that without the least inconvenience to yourself. If you would just come to America one time, and all the devotees will come and everything. And Guru Maharaj said, yes, it was my Guru Maharaj's desire, because he said he can't be converted, and to give his level of representation. And Guru Maharaj said, but my health, it is not possible. Now he said, but I will see America and all of the world through the eyes of Srila Govinda Maharaj. He will go. And this is around 1983. This is not 1985. This is 82, 83. Right? He's saying, through Govinda Maharaj, that will be achieved. Hare Krishna. So Srila Bhakti's Raksak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj, Abhirbhav Maha Mahotsavati ki jai. Srila Guru Maharaj Vyas Puja ki jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. And I just want to say, we're going to have the Guru Puja Arati. Abhiram Prabhu will sing the Sri Guru Charna Padma. But just to remind everyone here and those who might be viewing from different parts of the world, we will be assembling again in this, our Chiang Mai time, 7:30 p.m. Consult your guide for what that time is in different parts of the world. And just like we're doing the parikrama for last so many evenings, tonight's a special night dedicated to the appearance day of His Divine Grace. And as I got to speak extensively now, I'm hoping at that time to just sort of encapsulate briefly and then turn the mic over to the so many other devotees, direct disciples of Srila Guru Maharaj like Devashish Prabhu and some others, and of course Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj, other Maharajas, and leading disciples of Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj around the world, and that will be this evening. So that's something also to look forward to. And like Srila Avadut Maharaj said, actually he's going to be doing this all day. He's already doing it, but he's going to be doing it all day. In the Ukraine, in Crimea, in remember, Russia's got many time zones. Ukraine is not Russia. I must, clear. Ukraina, it has its own time zone and other zone. But the Russian Federation still has so many time zones. So Maharaj will just be going like non-stop around the clock. And as it should be. So, Jai Srila Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj, Abhirbhav Mahamahosavati ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Saying Sri Guru, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, then Sri Guru Charna Padma. And we're going to have the...
jai, Vanu Durga ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Mukunda Radha Govardhan ki jai, Shri Dham Shridhar ki jai, Srila Guru ki jai, Maharaj ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki jai, Shri Bhakti Dev ki jai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya ki jai, Shri Maharaj ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki jai, Shri Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Jai Shrimati Bhakti Devi ki jai, all his bodies ki jai, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Ram ki jai.